What's going on, everybody? Mr. Diamond, and I'm here to give you the answers, or at least the stuff that I care about in relation to saturation, based on those saturation questions you had to do last week. So, saturated fats are usually going to be solids. Things like butter, animal fat, the stuff that's like, in our bodies, those are all most likely saturated fats. And remember, saturated means that they are all single carbon chains going here. Unsaturated fats are things that are going to be like olive oils, soybean oil, and nut-based oils. Now over here I've got a monounsaturated fat, which means there's only one double bond involved. This is a polyunsaturated fat, it means it's got two double bonds involved. So why do you think saturated fats tend to be solids? Well, it actually has to do with their shape. Saturated fats, if they're going in these straight lines, they can actually pack really densely together. Like, look how many we stacked in this one little row. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them just all bunched up here together because their chains are all in straight lines, so they can squish together. But here, in the same amount of space, we're only really able to fit 3 of these even just mono unsaturated fats. They've got this bend in them that's causing them to not be able to stack together. They've actually got to kind of bend around each other, and there's going to be all these empty spaces here. So these unsaturated fats are not going to stick together as much. And if you remember, solids are things that are clumped very tightly. Liquids are more free-flowing and able to move around each other, and then gases are flying around. But these solids are tightly packed together. They're able to get really close to each other, but these unsaturated fats aren't. So if I asked you a question like, what would you call, or what type of fat would sunflower oil be? Your estimate would probably be it's an unsaturated fat because it's in a liquid form, and liquids are more likely to be unsaturated fats. But if I said something like lard would be more likely to be a saturated fat because lard is a solid at room temperature. Now, trans fats are the most unnatural and the worst ones of all. They are basically made by bombarding unsaturated fats with hydrogen until the kinks of the chain straighten out. So notice that if I flip back and forth between them, here it goes straight, bends down, and because of that double bond. But in this one, that double bond is still there, but it's all continuing to go in a straight line. You're basically forcing it to go into a straight line. That's allowing it to be packed a lot more tightly. These have been linked to heart disease and have been shown to have absolutely zero health benefits. You should be eating a small amount of them. They're most commonly found in things like processed and packaged foods, things like snack cakes, any sort of like ready-made dinner stuff like that, or instant in any kind of cooking thing that's like, especially going really like Little Debbie's cakes, Honey's buns, ding dongs, all of those kinds of things are all going to have a high amount of trans fats, because basically you don't want, if you're cooking something, it to have all of this goopy liquid stuff that's ever set out. If you've ever had like something you've baked sit out for long enough that it gets like an oily residue on it, that's not very appetizing. So companies that make pre-packaged foods don't want you to open it and it to be like greasy and oily when you're in there. So they've basically forced these fats to become a solid and to stay together without kind of getting goopy and getting like oily in your fingers whenever you're trying to open your package. They thought it would be too unappetizing. But they are very bad for you. So you definitely, the least healthy is trans fats. So moral of this, the information you want to know: trans fats are the least healthy because they are formed unnaturally. They basically never exist in nature by bombarding hydrogens onto a unsaturated fat. Unsaturated fats are most likely to be liquids. Saturated fats are most likely to be solids. And then trans fats are most likely to be used in pre-packaged foods. So that's what I got. I hope that makes sense to you guys. This is Mr. Diamond signing off. Have a great rest of your day.